Welcome into the Todd Bowles Show. Casey Phillips here with head coach Todd Bowles. I know all wins are important. This one felt like kind of a statement win in terms of you have all these injuries. You have to fly dang near around the world, I'm sure it felt like, and played a really good team. So what did this win say to you and what made it feel kind of special?
Shows a lot of resiliency. To fly all the way out there injured and those guys not to flinch, especially with the score going back and forth, and just step up and find a way to finish the ball game, says a lot about our team. Says a lot about the guys trusting each other. Says a lot about the coaches and everybody's following what they need to follow. And this was huge for us. It was huge. Very good football team.
Yeah, and you guys are now the first team in NFL history with 4 wins by 3 or fewer points in your first 5 games of the season. First of all, last year it just felt like we ended up being on the bad luck end of so many of these close games. And now every game that's close like this, y'all are finding a way, it feels like, to pull it out. What do you feel like is the biggest difference, and what does it take to have a team, the makeup of a team, to be this team getting these last-second wins?
I really think we're a smarter team. We went into the season trying to be smarter than we were last year, especially at the end of ball games and 2 minutes in certain situations. You can see Rashad go down inbounds after getting the first down where he really could have scored and brought the clock all the way down. Last year we were probably running out of bounds or scoring on those plays, and everybody has attention to detail and understands what's going on. I think we really are playing smarter.
How about anything that stood out to you that was unique about this end-of-game situation compared to some of the other ones this season, or what made this one unique?
It was great because Lavonte got the interception to start at the end of the ball game. He made the play. Winfield got the hit and forced it out. It skimmed off of Logan's helmet. Lavonte made the play. So for our leader to make that play, and then offensively to run the ball when they know you're going to run the ball, that says a lot about your team, and you impose your will anyway, and you get the first down on the 3rd and 7 when they have everybody stacked up in there, and then get down and still have the wherewithal to get down and run the clock down to win the game, says a lot about the entire team.
And Emeka, I just keep thinking that we won't have more new things to say about this guy every week, but man, 7 catches for 163 yards and a touchdown. First player in NFL history with at least 25 receptions, 400 receiving yards, and 5 or more receiving touchdowns in his first 5 career games. And he now owns franchise records for rookies in receptions, receiving yards, and receiving touchdowns in their first 5 games, which means more than even Mike and Chris had when they started out. So for him, this game in particular, when he's had so many good ones, why was this one so conducive to him really exploding?
Well, number one, he went home. He had a homecoming back in Washington, so it was huge for him. But I thought Grizz did a great job designing the plays this week, and we came out aggressive, and he stayed aggressive the entire game. Baker was hot. Everybody was focused and locked in, and that's a loud stadium to play in. But Emeka keeps doing amazing things. He keeps preparing the right way. He takes care of his body. He's very intelligent, and he's a highly competitive guy.
Yeah, and take us through his touchdown and 2-point conversion back-to-back.
Well, the touchdown looks similar to Atlanta. Obviously, him and Baker have a connection that way. He runs that route great, and then to come back and get the 2-point conversion, you just see how much we rely on him, how he's coming into his own, and how we'll have 3 number 1 receivers.
And you brought up Baker. I mean, his first 300-yard game of the season, he went 29 of 33, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. His 87.9 completion percentage was the highest by any quarterback in a game this season and the second highest of his career. Specifically, when you look especially at that efficiency and that completion rating, what stood out to you about that and why this game was so efficient for him?
Was taking what they gave him. I thought they did a great job designing the plays. Like I said, him and Grizz did a heck of a job, whether it was bootlegs, getting it out quick to the back, throwing it over the middle, throwing the deep ball, finding guys that were open, and he was laser sharp from a physical standpoint and from a mental standpoint. And when he gets rolling like that, he's hard to stop.
And, I mean, Rashad, we knew he had to step up in a big way with Bucky being out. He ended up with 2 touchdowns, not a bad way to do it. He has now tied Cadillac Williams for the 6th most rushing touchdowns by a running back in team history. What stood out to you about those 2 touchdowns and just the way he was able to step up in Bucky's absence?
His toughness. You know, Rashad's a very tough player. We ask him to do a lot too, as far as inside running, outside running, blocking, catching the football, pounding it in tough, getting crack tosses. He does a heck of a job the entire time. We have 1A and 1B. We don't have a first and a second running back. We have 2 number 1s, and with one of them down, he stepped up big time.
I know that we did only have 56 yards rushing overall. What about the game situation or execution kind of led to that?
Well, they're very good against the run. Obviously, they had a great defense over there, but Grizz opened it up, and we took what they gave us. They crowded the line of scrimmage, so we kept throwing the ball. They were completions. We were hot. We were confident in it, and we kept doing it. And that's great, not to take your foot off the gas.
And knowing that you weren't going to have Bucky going in, what were the biggest ways that did sort of affect the game plan or the team overall, and then how you felt like everybody was able to overcome that when you're missing one of your biggest weapons alongside already being without a Mike Evans?
Just a matter of Sean and Josh taking over some reps and getting some snaps in there. Obviously, Tez getting a lot more snaps. He really came into his own as well. Just using your other pieces. We got Cade going early. We got Tez going early. We got Shep going in there. So we had other pieces that started trickling in that we started using, and, you know, they kind of confused them since they weren't ready for – they were trying to cover Emeka and Chris the whole time, but the other guys contributed.
Yeah, Cade, definitely a bigger part of the game plan this week. Second highest regular season receiving total in a single game for him. He had the 27-yarder, 12-yard catch, finished with 81 yards. Was this basically him finally not having to be quite so much the blocking tight end as the O-line's gotten a little bit back to more normal?
Well, with people down, you start using all your pieces, and we included him in the game plan more. He went back home to Washington, obviously, so that was huge.
We got to play more games out there.
It feels like the Washington guys got a lot more plays than everybody else, but he did a good job waiting his turn, and he came through for us.
Yeah, and you brought up Tez, 4 catches, 59 yards, including a 27-yarder. What worked so well for him in this game, and just where your confidence is at with him moving forward?
Confidence is 10 out of 10. He has a lot of speed, and he's a great route runner. He has outstanding hands. He has a good feel for the game, and as he gets the system down, you'll see more and more of Tez.
I saw that 2 of your top 3 receivers in the game were rookies. It's the 3rd game in Bucs history where multiple rookie wide receivers each had at least 50 receiving yards. What has it said about the way they've been able to contribute so early, and to know you have, in addition to these incredible vets like a Mike and Chris, to now have 2 rookies that have shown that they can be counted on so early in the start of their NFL career?
Says a lot about the professionalism in that room. Says a lot about their coach, B-Mac. B-Mac does a great job preparing those guys, getting them ready. And then they rely on Mike and Chris as well. So they really got a couple coaches in that room that they can rely on. And those guys just step in like nothing ever happened, and they don't take a step back, and they take the next man up mentality very seriously.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back on the Todd Bowles Show. Welcome back into the Todd Bowles Show. Casey Phillips here with head coach Todd Bowles. So I hear this was the flu game for Chase McLaughlin. Got a little game ball for it as well. Just, I mean, how impressive was what he was able to do?
Chase looked like he never played basketball in his life, but
or even knew what the flu game was, maybe?
From a kicking standpoint, and he did tell me a good joke last week, so I'll give him his props. But he did a heck of a job for him to battle through that. And he felt so bad Saturday. I was wondering if he was even going to play, but for him to go out there and deliver those kicks and concentrate a lot more, he needs to get sick a lot more often.
I love it. And then I know also you guys had talked about needing to get off to a faster start, that part of why, they were having to be all these sort of last-second touchdowns was kind of playing a bit from behind. So felt like this game definitely got off to the faster start, being up 13-0. What was it that you saw that enabled the team to do that, and how did it help just the rest of the game plan and day?
Just all guys locked in and focused. Usually it's either 9 of the 11 or 10 of the 11, and one guy breaks down mentally, and then it's a bad play on either side of the football. Everybody was locked in early. Everybody was engaged in the football game, and everybody was into it.
You mentioned how loud that stadium is. It's definitely one of the loudest ones, and here you've had all these changes on your offensive line, and you're having to do a lot of silent counts. How impressed were you at their ability to handle the noise and to come away so cleanly after seeing some games where there were a few flags involved, and this one felt like, in terms of pre-snap and just playing so buttoned up and mistake-free in that area, had to be exciting for you?
I think those guys are settling in. 2 weeks in with Bredesen back where he is, and Barton back where he is, and Tristan back where he is, and Heck at the right, and Hager at the right. It's become normal. You forget that we got 2 guys out, and those guys did a heck of a job battling all day. We didn't get as much in the run game, but we got a lot in the pass game. They did a good job keeping Baker clean.
We talked about there were a lot of different injuries, and especially in the secondary. So tell me a bit about your decision of having, Zion is still out there, but of the way you chose to use Parrish, the decision to bring in Kindle Vildor, and how that affected some of the game planning you guys did from an outside and nickel corner position.
We've been rotating Parrish outside anyway. We've been trying to give him a chance because we know he can play outside, and he had a good chance to play out there. It's a lot on his plate when he has to go outside and inside, especially as a rookie. So his mind has to switch almost every play, and Vildor has a lot of experience, and he had a great camp. We were trying to find ways to get him in the ball game anyway, and he came in with a veteran presence, and he played calm, he played collected. I thought those guys battled.
We talked a little bit about Lavonte's interception earlier, but take us through kind of that play and what it was like on the sideline and to see him get that after I know you'd given him a little bit of grief about missing one earlier this year.
Now, we held that call for a long time, and then we finally let it go with Wynn coming out there. And catching that ball for him was huge because he dropped a lot of balls in individual this week in practice, and Voss was giving him a lot of grief over that. So for him to make that play at that time of the game, being the leader of our defense was huge, but Winfield made a heck of a job. He did a heck of a job blitzing and coming through there, putting pressure on Sam.
Now, I know Sam Darnold played a heck of a game, 28-34, 341 yards and 4 touchdowns. What did he do so well, and just sort of the challenges that the defense saw facing him and their weapons that they have?
He did a good job getting the ball out quickly, and we fell off him a few times in the second half, and we got to scramble through the pocket and found some open guys down the field, but he played a heck of a ball game. Hadn't been in a shootout in quite a while. We got some fundamental things that we got to fix, but we came through in the end, and those guys made the play to win the game.
And how about going against Jackson Smith and Jigba? We've seen, first of all, Ohio State knows how to produce a wide receiver or two, that's for sure. And what was so challenging about facing him, and especially when, again, you did have some injuries in the secondary?
They move him around quite a bit. He has great hands. He has great body control. He can go deep. He can go short. He's just like Mecca. Obviously, they were saying he was Mecca before Mecca, so when he got there. But he's a heck of a receiver. He made some plays. Obviously, he made a big catch on Wynn. Wynn missed the ball right there, and it was tough to corral him.
And then for you guys, what did and didn't work in the pass rush? You mentioned how quickly Darnold was getting it out. So how did you feel about what you guys were and were not able to do in that area?
I don't think we got him on the ground. We got back there, we just couldn't get him on the ground. Obviously, it's a little different with Cansey out. We lose our athleticism on the inside, so we got to do different things to try to contain the quarterback when he steps up in the pocket.
All right, we're going to take another break. We'll be right back on the Todd Bowles Show. Welcome back into the Todd Bowles Show. Casey Phillips here with head coach Todd Bowles. We saw the fumble recovery by Tyke, his first career one. Tell us about just the importance of that play, what he did well to be ready for that, and just the significance of that in the time of that game.
It was just everybody running to the football. They tried the option. They fumbled the snap. Obviously, everybody was swarming to the ball. He dug it out from the pile. He's been one of our best players since the season started. He's really having a heck of a season at safety. It kind of goes unnoticed, but for us in the meeting room, from a coaching standpoint, he's doing a heck of a job for us, and he makes play after play. He's probably one of our best linebackers. If you talk about hitting and shedding and using his hands on blockers, he does a great job at that as well.
That's great. And I know that we almost had 2 more interceptions outside of Lavonte, Yaya at the goal line, and then Winfield's getting called back with a flag. What are you saying to guys about the idea of finishing some of these plays and how close it feels like your defense is to being able to have the number of takeaways I know you'd like for them to have?
We're right there. We just got to catch the ball. One went right through Yaya's hands, and Wynn's got called back, unfortunately, on the penalty with Zion. But we're right there. We just got to keep chomping at it, and they'll come.
I know you guys held Walker to 4 carries for 20 yards in the first half. He ended up finishing with 86, including a 31-yarder. What happened on that play, or just kind of the second half in general, to let him get going a little bit more?
We had a couple misfits in the run game. We had 3 guys actually on the one play on the 31-yarder that we kind of let him out there as opposed to being where we're supposed to be.
And then what happened on Barner's touchdowns? I know he's a pretty big tight end to be facing.
Huge tight end. The one Lavonte just missed the tackle on, and the other one, he just made a play. We got to cover it better, and we got to do a better job in zone coverage.
How about the play of your defensive line? Still, watching the way that they're evolving without Kalijah and the ways that you have some different body types, different types of guys in there. What did you see from them overall, knowing they were facing a guy like Walker, a guy like Darnold, and the way they handled it?
They play hard, other than Vita and Logan. Obviously, the third spot we still got to get used to with Gaines in there, with Simmons in there, with Roberts in there, and all those guys doing different things. Still got to get used to. They got to get used to the other guys playing in there and understand where they need to be. But they come off the ball. Now it's just a matter of attention to detail.
From the special team standpoint, I know we already talked about Chase and his contributions, but Riley Dixon, I know we had the one punt down at the 1 yard line, which he had actually said in his media appearance earlier that you can always keep getting better until you're downing punts at the 1 yard line. And that was, I'm sure, a great thing to see. What did you see from his game overall and that punt in particular?
That was great to give us field position. Unfortunately, we let him out, but he did a heck of a job getting the ball down there. I thought Chase did a very good job with his kicks all day.
I know kick return, not an area that you were probably the most happy with on special teams, allowed, multiple of them being over 40 or 50 yards each. What was breaking down in that area and just how much more challenging that made it on the defense as well to get some stops?
It's challenging because we can't start to the kick, so we got to find different ways to kick the ball there. But at the same time, we got to defeat blockers early and get back in our lanes, and we got to take our shots. I think we're breaking down too early, so we got to speed it up.
Knowing that you guys will have another long West Coast trip later in the season, how did you feel like the team handled the flight in terms of the way you employ sports science and guys really committing to it and the time change and just how ready everybody was for it to be the game where maybe you came out faster than most others when everything like that was sort of against you and what you learned about that process?
I think for us, we just treated it like it was a 4 o'clock game. So from a time standpoint, we were only off by an hour. Our meetings were at 6 instead of 9, and which was the same thing on East Coast time. We woke up at the same time. We kind of did our normal routine, so we didn't have a chance to adjust or let the time get us, and we played a normal East Coast type of ball game. So I thought they did a great job.
All right, we have one more segment coming up here on the Todd Bowles Show. We'll be right back. Welcome back into the Todd Bowles Show. Casey Phillips here with head coach Todd Bowles. Time for our final segment. Looking forward to this next game against the 49ers. Looking at when they've had Brock Purdy, when they've had Mac Jones, what are the biggest ways you see that affect their game plan, if at all, and what each of those guys has brought individually?
I think both are highly intelligent. I think with Brock, he goes down the field a little bit more. He's probably a better athlete than Mac. Mac kind of deciphers plays very well, just like Brock does, and he does a heck of a job throwing it to the right person and getting them in the right play and directing the offense. So he runs the offense very well. So between the two, just got to prepare for the scheme and see which one plays. And
then Christian McCaffrey definitely seems like he is peak Christian McCaffrey again, leading them in receiving and rushing and doing everything. So what does he like to face, and what is the unique challenge for a defense, and maybe the way our defense could potentially match up with him well or not, and what he brings, and just how different he is from so many other backs?
He's a challenge because he's a halfback, he's a wideout, he's a fullback. They use him in so many different ways and get him on so many different mismatches, and he's such a great route runner that you forget he's a running back sometimes, but then they toss it to him and then he runs for another 20 yards. So he's going to be a challenge for us. We got to know where he is at all times.
I know that they've had a few injuries as well, different guys being out. So without, George Kittle in the past, he is at the point of having the chance to return, but as the time we're shooting this, we don't know if that's going to happen or not. But George Kittle and Nick Bosa being two of their biggest, contributors, with and without them, how much does that change things and some of the matchups you might employ?
I mean, anytime you lose 2 All-Pros, it's going to affect you a little bit. But they got some players, and they get after the quarterback even without Bosa. Obviously, they move the ball around a little bit differently without Kittle, but they still get the production, and that's the important thing. So you got to prepare for the scheme. Shanahan has them guys very well coached, and they're going to come here ready to play, and we got to be ready to match it.
How about Fred Warner? And I feel like I've heard a lot of people compare him to Lavonte in some of the areas of the type of caliber of player they've been for so long. What are the things about him at this point in his career and just overall how challenging he can be to face and the way he could potentially be a game wrecker?
He's tough in the middle. He has a very good nose for the football, very athletic. He comes downhill. He makes impact hits when he comes, so he comes with intent to do damage, and we got to make sure we keep a hat on him.
So for the other weapons outside of a Christian McCaffrey, what are some of the things that those guys do, and who are they that you're watching to really make sure you guys slow down?
No, we'll see if Jennings plays, obviously, and we'll see if Pearsall plays. You know, both of them are two very good receivers right there. They also have Valdez-Scantling as well. So they have different guys they can get the ball to schematically and get open, and they have a huge offensive line.
Well, Coach, thank you as always for taking time with us, and congratulations again on that win.
Thank you.